Okay, good afternoon. I'm Brian Buckley. My wife and I, Kate, own Innisfree Poetry Bookstore and Cafe here on University Hill in Boulder, and part of our work for 8 years here on the Hill has been trying to understand how the city sees our work neighborhood, and when we have issues or concerns, how those arrive at the city and how it responds. And that's a little bit why I'm here today.
Great, and my name is Brenda Rittenauer. I am the neighborhood liaison for the city of Boulder. So in my role, I get to do things like talk to folks like Brian and Kate about what they're thinking about and how the city might be able to help them with various things they might have on their minds. I like to say that the best reasons to call me are because I can help you navigate city departments, I can help you build community in your neighborhood, and I can help connect you to issues and projects that you care about.
Thank you, Brenda. Just seeing you today is evidence of that, so thank you very much. And I should say, my wife and 3 daughters, we live here in Boulder, so we have neighborhood issues and concerns too. I think, Brenda, just to start, why did the city feel this needed to happen, and why now?
Yeah, so I am part of our new engagement department at the City of Boulder, and that department came about specifically because, have you heard of the Public Participation Working Group?
Yes.
Yeah, so that group was 14 citizens who came together 30 times over 18 months, which is heroic.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a working group
yeah.
do that, that much work for that intense and that long. And so they came together and really took a hard, critical look at how we approach the public. It's very important to city staff and to city council that whenever we make decisions that affect and impact our residents, that we've talked to them about those decisions and the various options so that they can weigh in on those options. It's a very tricky thing to do, and to do in a way that's inclusive and on the right timeline and really productive. And so that's what that group looked at. How are we doing that? And they came back with a lot of information for us, a lot of great recommendations for us. And one of those recommendations was that the city needed to put resources in front of people around those processes. So we now have an engagement department. My role existed, but has been nested under that department. And then building bridges is something that was put in my hands as a gift. I started in July, and we got the report in August. And couched in that report was the recommendation to co-create guidelines for civic dialogue. Actually, it said civil dialogue at that time with the community. And so we tried to figure out how that should look and what way we should go about doing that. So that's what we're trying to do now.
Awesome. And do you think some of the density of the issues in Boulder now pushed for the better communication, whether it be housing, skyline limits, developer fees, things like, do you feel some of these critical issues?
At a moment, yeah. I mean, we are at a moment in Boulder where our values are coming up against each other in natural tensions, right? So the City of Boulder values our small town feel. We value our open space, certainly. We've demonstrated that in ways that are unique in the country. And we have this amazing development limit that was given to us by the founders of the city, right? And we're a welcoming city. We believe in inclusiveness. We believe in being growing and dynamic and interesting and innovative. And those things are starting to rub up against each other a little bit, right? How do we grow as a community when we also want to have a small town feel? And so I do think that we're in a moment where business owners and residents and university students and all the folks that make up our community are trying to figure out what the best way forward is.
And this is awesome. Thank you. No, this is just so good to visualize what it can be. You know, that people have a human being to call, connect, get feedback on for the next call. They can move their way deep within a department. I think it'd be nice to think of like a practical example, if I could give you.
Sure.
Tell me what might happen.
That'd be great.
So I work on our staff at the store. Pretty much see you freshmen and up, and then some graduate and stay a couple of years or two. So pretty much 18 to 24, 25-year-olds. We have amazing staff at the store. And so they might have a question. Okay, I graduated. I want to stay and live in Boulder. Things are expensive. Oh, I was in a co-op, but then the city limited the number of co-ops. Who can I talk to see if the city will take that issue up again? So if I called,
I'm a great first step.
Okay,
I'm a
all right.
great place to start. And then what I do is I connect you warmly to the division where the subject matter experts actually are. So that would probably be affordable housing. They are doing a lot of different investigations and different strategies on how to make folks who have graduated and want to stay in Boulder able to stay in Boulder. And so I would connect first probably to affordable housing. And then always there are city council members who want to hear what people are thinking about and what issues to take up. So I could also help make those connections as well.
me. And I think like that's a very day-to-day life budget question. I think another question that throws me a shot that's a little more amorphous but meaningful. Hey, what are the steps Boulder's taken to be a more ethnically diverse city? And they could call you and you might direct them to.
I would probably have a conversation first,
sure.
because that one certainly crosses departments as far as, so from a policy perspective at the city, often what it comes down to is what we're able to support through policy. And affordable housing, again, is a big piece of that issue as well. Because if we're not making our city accessible to all different kinds of people who work in all different kinds of jobs, who have all different types of backgrounds, who might be looking for different types of communities to be a part of, if we're not making it possible for those people to move here, then we're cutting off our inclusivity and our diversity right there, right? So that goes to affordable housing. It also goes to commercial developments, because if we have jobs in the city that people can have, then it's more likely they can live here. And so that one crosses a lot of departments. We also
even that would be helpful though.
To talk
Your
about
advice,
those
where do I
issues.
go first?
We also have a new role in a chief diversity officer. She works both internally with city staff on how we are ensuring that we're a diverse, inclusive workforce, both in our hiring practices and in our behavior with each other. And she's also starting to reach out to partners around the community to see how we as a community can work together to make that happen.
That's great.
So,
And I think I might have jumped forward too fast. So if I have one of these questions, there's a website?
I mean, I have resources on my website, certainly. And I actually have top 10 links of my favorite pages on the city's website at any given time. And that is a place where people can start. Right now there's snow removal on that list, and development and planning, right?
And what page is that? So you go to.
So my page is bouldercolorado.gov. Neighborhood services. So if you do /neighborhoods, you'll get there. And also, I like to navigate using our A to Z tab and going to N.
All right.
And then I'm going to just let you know about
Yeah,
this
please.
event that's up there right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of our civic discourse conversations for me are centering around this effort. As you said, we have a lot of contentious issues in our city right now. And the Public Participation Working Group really wanted us to work with the community to figure out how we can engage in productive conversations together in a way that we can all stay in the room, right? So they called it civil discourse. We have amended it. So when I say we've been working with the folks at CU in their communication department. They have this amazing division called Boulder Talks. And those folks' jobs are their study, their course of work, their calling is facilitation of difficult conversations between groups of people, right? So we reached out to them and said, here's what we're trying to do. Can you help help us do it. And they've developed, based on a program that we developed with the High United Way, they've developed a facilitated design lab that walks people through a conversation about civic discourse. And we've started to talk about civic because a lot of times when you get into conversations where you feel passionately about something, where you're impacted, where your daughter's futures are impacted, there will be emotions, and it might get less than civil, right? But how do we make sure that it stays productive and that we're able to listen to each other and hear each other, even while we're being true to our honest emotions about something? And so I think at one point we had in our head the deliverable of this list of guidelines of how we behave together in public situations, right? And it's going to be less that, and more of a new mindset for our culture. And so we're really asking the community, we don't know, we don't have those answers, we don't pretend like we're smart enough to have those answers, we want the community to work with us to come up with those answers together. So we're starting with the community through these conversations. We have an online platform too where people can also plug in and start to participate in some of these conversations at home in their pajamas if they want to. And then we'll take all of this input. We've had 4 meetings so far, and we already have a ton of input. We have 2 more public meetings, 2 more targeted meetings, and the online platform. We'll take all that input and convene another group of volunteers to look at it and try and figure out what it is Boulder is saying it wants as its culture of discourse, and then try and figure out how we activate that as a new culture. So what it looks like, I don't think it looks like a list, but we'll see what it looks like. It's a pretty exciting project to be in process with. So that information is up on my website, and that's what I'm really hoping for right now. That's my focus at the moment, and I'm really hoping people will come out and be a part of that.
Great. No, and a lot of my questions come from, we've had a couple things in the neighborhood that were responded to well. We've seen over 8 years a little more city interest and support on the Hill, but if this can take it even further and more personal, then we're all aboard. And then a lot of the people I come across with every day are happy to be in Boulder. I'm grateful for what's come before. If they want to contribute to a committee or another reason to call you, I think this part of the sustainability board is not being addressed. They could call you, and you can end up not just sharing your opinion, but finding a city committee to sit on.
Finding a way to be involved on a regular basis. We have a volunteer cooperative at the city where we try to not just connect people to one-day projects. We do that too, but we also try and find out what are people's passions, what are people's skills, and how would people like to serve, and making sure they find their way to that chair. So.
Well, thanks, Brenda. No, I think I love when cities try things and when they experiment. And this seems like there's been some thought and planning for this announcement and this process to happen.
And it is an experiment. There has been thought, but it is definitely a great experiment, and we're just grateful for the opportunity to get to do it.
Well, I appreciate you willing to jump in as part of the experiment to see what we can learn, and maybe some new things come up that the city is on.
That's our hope, right? If we're not hearing new things, then I certainly individually am not doing my job right. But also city staff are not able to be responsive unless we know that those things coming down the pike are. So that's what we're looking for.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.